Mr. President has made it very, very clear to both the intelligence and operational elements that their first assignment will be to identify the leaders of these bandits and kidnappers and take them out.
President Buhari off to London directs security chiefs to up their game.
In the payroll support for Gombe State, we have ensured that at about 9,085 employees from close to 2,000 MSMEs in the educational sector have benefited from the scheme.
Micro, small and medium enterprises clinic admits more people to the business world.
Let us all remain mindful that the alternate school program possesses the potential for every child to gain access to quality education.
Good tidings for out-of-school children as implementation of alternative school program just step away. Plus, Senate at its final push for the establishment of 3 medical institutions. Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us on NTA Network News tonight. I am Joseph Johnson. Hingunu John Adams joins me from Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived London moments ago for his routine medical checkups. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that while in the UK, the president is expected to undergo a routine medical checkup. He was seen off at the airport by the Minister of the FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. Throwing more light on the president's medical trip, presidential spokespersons Femi Adesina and Garba Shehu reassured Nigerians that there is nothing to worry about.
You know that when it has to do with health, we can presume. There is nobody who can say he is 100% healthy. If there's anybody like that, he should stand up to be counted. Somebody who says, I don't need checkup, I don't need anybody to look at my health, I am perfect from head to toe. That person should then stand up to be counted. So if our president at 78 is going for medical checks, and I think there's nothing out of the ordinary in that. You know that since the president came back in August 2017 from his medical vacation then, his health has held on very well. Between that 2017 and now, maybe he went out 2 or 3 times. All through last year, it's doubtful whether he went out. So, if it is time to do it now, then it's time to do it.
But there's nothing to worry about?
No, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing to worry about.
The president is looking at the window of opportunity that has opened with the Easter holiday. It's a much relaxed period for everyone. Good Friday, Easter Monday, national holiday. So then, using that period to do his regular medical checkup. This is something he has done for so many years, even before he came to office. Every year he had appointment with his doctors and he went there to do it. The only anomaly this time around was that COVID prevented this kind of trip throughout 2020. So he has lost some period. The last time he was there, more than 1.5 years back. But so he's using that opportunity to do what is regular in his own life. There is nothing like urgency or medical emergency or any new ailment of any sort. He's just fine and he's doing well.
President Muhammadu Buhari is due back in the country in the second week of next month. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari, just before departing for London, directed the nation's armed forces and other security services to spare no efforts at bringing to an end the nefarious activities of bandits and kidnappers undermining national security and stability. He said those collaborating with the criminal elements to sabotage government efforts at securing the country must also be fished out and dealt with decisively. This was at an emergency meeting he convened with the service chiefs and heads of other security and intelligence communities on the state of insecurity in the country. State House correspondent Adam Sambu has more.
The emergency meeting with the service chiefs and heads of other security agencies was summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari in response to the worrisome challenges of security in parts of the country. He described as unacceptable the prevailing situation where bandits and kidnappers continue to have a field day, dictating the pace and setting the tone in the fight against crime and criminality. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, told newsmen that the president did not mince words in giving marching orders to the security chiefs.
Mr. President has made it very, very clear to both the intelligence and operational elements that their first assignment will be to identify the leaders of these bandits and kidnappers and take them out in order to restore confidence in those areas.
President Buhari was also unequivocal in his message to those collaborating with criminal elements to sabotage the government and destabilize the polity for reasons best known to them.
This is the directive from the president. I am to send a warning to those people who are behaving in a manner that portends a lot of danger to innocent lives. Those people who think they have some kind of authority, who are engaging in all kinds of hocus pocus, in all kinds of jiggery pokery or skullduggery, those people will be brought down to their knees. It is extremely important for these people. I'm sending out a message to them. Anybody who thinks he can continue to pull whatever resources he has at his disposal to frustrate the efforts of the central government in bringing about peace and security will have himself to blame.
During the meeting, comprehensive reports submitted by the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs were analyzed with the assurance by the President that critical areas of need will be addressed.
Mr. President is very eager and anxious to see what we're doing, and I'm sure that you will attest to the fact that the heightening operational engagement has yielded positive results. Generally, you find that the situation, when it's getting to the end, it appears that the heat is more, and not only the heat is more before it begins to get cool. We're on course.
The meeting noted with satisfaction the operational visits by the new service chiefs to the theater of operations to boost the morale of their troops. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The federal government will continue to cooperate with states to support micro, small and medium enterprises. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the 27th Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic hosted by the Gombe State government describes the MSME as the engine of the nation's economy that needs to be well oiled. Details of this report will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. And Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says it is time that greater attention be paid to the unity of the country by all. The Vice President made the call during a courtesy call to the palace of the Emir of Gombe, Abubakar Shehu Abubakar, accompanied by Governor Inuwa Yahaya. Vice President Osinbajo, who is in Gombe State for the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic series, says the breakup of the country will do no one any good.
This is the way our country has always been. Our country has been tolerant of people of other tribes. We are one country, this country called Nigeria, and we are great because we are together. The moment we separate, that greatness disappears. Our greatness is in our togetherness, is in our unity. And I think that this is something that we must continue to preach and propagate, so that those who are preaching division do not succeed, and they will not succeed by the grace of God.
Your visit today affirms the commitment of the federal government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari to support and uplift our people across various areas of social and economic development. I would like to commend the federal government for its untiring efforts toward the economic development of our people, especially in the area of agriculture and small-scale businesses.
It's the center of commerce in the midst of the Northeast, and we have a lot of such people that you have come to take care of.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo was presented with a white horse as a mark of appreciation for the visit and the good governance the Buhari administration is committed to. The National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria has expressed commitment to the sanctity of the nation's unity, peace and security. Chairman of the Council and Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, who presided over the 12th General Assembly of the Council in Kano, says leaders at all levels should spare no expense in guaranteeing a safer and prosperous Nigeria. Awal Salidu reports.
The General Assembly of the Traditional Rulers is to encourage cultural interaction, ethnic harmony and tolerance to keep the nation on the path of progress, peace and strong unity. As the country is grappling with problems of insecurity ranging from kidnapping, banditry and armed robbery among others, the meeting of the traditional rulers focuses on the role of the monarchy in finding lasting solutions to these social maladies. It also dwelt on the emerging challenges bedeviling the performance of traditional institutions in ensuring peace in Nigeria and how they can help government address the problems by sharing intelligence with security agencies. The gathering stressed the need for traditional rulers to use their position as bridge builders in each of their communities to complement government efforts in ensuring peace and security in Nigeria.
We want to assure all our political leaders of our neutrality in whatever we do, because we care for this country, we care for our people. We will continue to help to stabilize this nation.
Important discussions will be made at the Assembly, which in the long run facilitate enhancement of traditional rulers' role in promoting peace in the country.
Draw the attention of the traditional rulers on how to continue supporting the government in order to have ways and means of fighting the insurgency.
The council further called on Nigerians to take COVID-19 vaccines and observe safety protocol to curb the spread of the disease. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Still talking security matters, the Zamfara State Police Command, in collaboration with the State Peace and Reconciliation Committee, has secured the unconditional release of some 10 kidnapped victims in Kaya village of Maradun local government area of the state. The victims, including 7 women and 3 men, were abducted in the early hours of Monday this week and taken to a suburb forest by their abductors, but later released in furtherance of the ongoing peace process in the state. A statement issued by the spokesman of the Zamfara State Police Command, Superintendent of Police Shehu Mohammed, says all the rescued victims have been debriefed and handed over to the sole administrator of Maradun Local Government Council for them to reunite with their families. The Comptroller General of Nigerian Customs Service, Hamid Ali, says all citizens must cooperate with government to bring to an end the activities of smugglers in view of the implication to the economy and national security. He said this while interacting with the House Committee on Customs. National Assembly correspondent Lamiali reports.
The Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Hamid Ali, expressed sadness that some residents of border communities take smuggling as a business and are ignorant of the law. All Nigerians of goodwill, he stressed, have a responsibility to put a stop to these acts of illegality by sharing information. He informed the committee that the service is working on a policy to further bring downwards the number of years for used vehicles for import into Nigeria, and that plans to improve services are on course with the purchase of scanners.
We are ready to do everything, Mr. Chairman, as customs do responsibility to ensure that we block the arms coming into this country. But I want to assure you that we will not alone be able to stop arms or total smuggling of arms into this country. We need the support of each and every one of us.
The committee insisted on increasing budget estimates of customs for the year 2021.
At committee level, we have approved the budget of Nigerian Custom 1.679 trillion for 2021.
In another development, House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services has held a public hearing on establishment bills for 12 federal institutions in parts of the country.
All with common objectives to develop and offer academic and professional programs with emphasis on technology, applied sciences, agriculture, commerce, art, social sciences, humanity.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Do stay with us here on NTA Network News. We just take some messages and we are back shortly. Thanks for staying with us. The recent delays experienced in obtaining the Nigeria passport will soon be a thing of the past. This follows inauguration of the Passport Express Processing Center in Maitama, Abuja. Victor Azu reports that the new Premium Passport Center is equipped to produce the Nigeria passport within 24 hours.
Over the years, the Nigeria Immigration Service has made efforts to improve its passport service in response to the yearnings of Nigerians for a more efficient passport processing service. The more the service improved, the more the demand of Nigerians, it seemed.
I, on behalf of the President of Nigeria,
the inauguration of this Passport Express Processing Center is therefore another attempt at meeting the demands of Nigerians, but it comes at a price.
The Maitama Express Center was therefore established to provide a speeded and guaranteed service for applicants willing to pay a premium, upfront and efficient service. In this center, all applicants who want to use it will pay a service fee of 20,000 naira premium fee. They can get their passport in 3 days. If they're in a hurry, they can get it 24 hours. They will pay 30,000.
Beyond the time efficiency, the creation of the center is also an effort towards improving the ease of doing business in the country.
I also say that while this is in line with international best practice, it is also in conformity with the Executive Order 1 issued by our President on the ease of doing business in Nigeria. The center will overvalue added service to all Nigerians.
This is the first of its kind in Nigeria, and observers reckon that it will take more of it to make the desired impact. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Following the launch of the alternative school program by President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure that every out-of-school child in Nigeria gain access to quality basic education, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development held an inaugural meeting with the National Steering Committee for the full implementation of the scheme. Ruth Aguele reports.
Nigeria is said to be the leading nation with out-of-school children, with an estimate of about 10.5 million within the ages of 5 to 14, a burden that has raised major concerns. The alternate school program is one initiative inaugurated by the federal government to address this challenge, and this inaugural meeting by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development with the National Steering Committee of the scheme is to record the level of progress being made in actualizing the initiative.
Let us all remain mindful that the alternate school program possesses the potential for every child to gain access to quality education, irrespective of social, cultural, or economic standing, as well as provide a means of improving household incomes for their respective families. This also seeks to equip children with the requisite skills and wherewithal to engage with and contribute meaningfully to the Nigerian economy.
It concluded
and all of the participating agencies are all for with the presentation she had just made. So we're going to just proceed along those lines to make sure that everything works in tandem.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is collaborating with the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders to refine and strengthen the ASP concept. It is hoped that with this interministerial engagement, strategic leadership is expected for the alternate school program to succeed. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Women from across Nigeria have converged on Abuja to evolve strategies and explore avenues to mitigate the abuse of women and girls, as well as find remedies for the speedy recovery of victims. Momso Demendati reports that it was an interface with the Minister of Women Affairs and experts.
Domestic violence cut across age, socioeconomic background, and even educational background. We are here today to look at the triggers, the indicators, and then the way forward.
The grassroots are targets mainly to educate and sensitize other women on how to manage situations. Women are mothers. Even when you talk of children being abused, women have a strategic role to play in this.
Wives of governors, heads of women groups and unions, experts on gender-based issues, psychologists, and mothers putting heads together to work out possible ways of reversing the trend of violence against women.
We can't just continue to allow women to be battered.
A course the women minister says must be pursued by all and sundry.
Statistics has it that every 9 seconds a woman is being assaulted or beaten. When you see something, say something. Expose them. Speak out. Don't be silent. As mothers, we must be the vanguards to condemn all ill things, anything that will destroy the future of any woman or any young girl.
Improving the capacity of key players through direct involvement, particularly from the federal to the grassroots, is the aim of the 2-day training. In Abuja, Momso Demendati, NTA News.
As a wake-up call to the growing threats of bias reporting on the Nigerian state of security by foreign media practitioners, a body of Nigeria's veteran journalists under the auspices of Vision Center for Communication and Development Advocacy is leading a conversation to change the narrative and entrench universal ethics of professionalism in conduct and practice. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The recent scenarios that played out on the face of social unrest, triggered by NSAS protest and the rise of divisive tendencies threatening the peaceful development of the country, informed this brainstorming session. This coming together of media professionals from the print and broadcast industry, including Executive Director News NTA Mohammed Labo, provoked thought that centered on the principle of objectivity against foreign practice that exacerbate tension.
Foreign correspondents come here and only look at the negative aspect of how the army operates or how the locals are dealing with the situation. Most of the time we have our reporters there, but we rely more on foreign journalists.
Stakeholders say journalism in Nigeria should be part of the peace-building process of stabilizing our shores for the return of sanity in every sphere of life, with priority to quality editorial judgment.
The way we send the message across to the citizens speaks volume.
It is a moral burden on us as media practitioners and as journalists to make sure that we de-escalate this issue.
Let's come up with concrete solutions on how we can help the security situation in this country.
Nigeria's situation, these veterans note that, is better managed than allowed to deteriorate, as a nation of more than 200 million population can only wallow in unimaginable consequences during conflict. The challenge before Nigerian journalists here is to de-escalate conflict arising from mutual distrust and other primordial sentiment, as well as promote peace and sustainable development, which is the hallmark of national integration. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Thank you, Usman. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, has directed field commanders to upscale ongoing operations to rapidly stem criminality across the country. Lieutenant General Attahiru gave the directive at the closing of the combined Chief of Army Staff 2021 First Quarter Conference and Operation Retreat in Abuja. The periodic assembly of Army heads of units, formations and principal officers provides an avenue to review training, appraise army operations, logistics and general administration with a view to make projections that will enhance the Army's activities in the coming quarter.
On their horse, I implore you all to sustain the tempo of operations and maintain the posture that will create the enabling environment for peace and socio-economic activities to drive in our dear country.
The Chief of Army Staff Conference is a major quarterly engagement in the Nigerian Army. The Office of the President of the Senate says it has noted a tweet by one mayor attributing a fabricated statement to the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni, describes the tweet as mischievous, where the President of the Senate was quoted as saying, quote, he won't mind a constitutional amendment to allow unlimited term of office for President Buhari if he wishes to remain in office beyond 2023. The President of the Senate has never made any of such statements before or after 2019, the statement added. Kano State Executive Council has approved the release of 8.9 billion naira for the construction of Muhammadu Buhari interchange at NNPC Mega Station, Rotary Intersection, Hotoro, along Maiduguri Road in the metropolis. The State Commissioner for Information, Malam Mohammad Garba, disclosed this at a media briefing on the outcome of the weekly council meeting held at the Africa House, Government House, Kano. He said the project was part of the present administration's commitment to construct road networks to address increasing traffic congestion in line with its policy of transforming Kano into a mega city, as well as boost commercial activities. The Commissioner also announced that the Council has given approval for the release of the sum of 44 million naira for the re-accreditation and resource visitation requirements for Audu Bako College of Agriculture. Brass Fertilizer and Petrochemical Company, in partnership with the DSV Engineering, NNPC, the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board Capacity Development Intervention Company, are set to establish the largest methanol plant in sub-Saharan Africa before the end of 2023. Benny Adams reports that the methanol plant, to be located in Brass, Bayelsa State, will also house a 500 million scoffs gas processing plant.
Petrochemical experts say at least 67% of items in use every day are methanol derived. From the house, methanol is used as fuel and solvent, with derivatives as plastics, synthetic fabrics, and fiber used to make clothing, adhesives and paints. Methanol also serves as key chemical agents in pharmaceutical and agrochemical industries, yet all the methanol needs of Nigeria are imported. But that is about to change with the planned construction of a 10,000 metric tons a day plant and a gas processing unit in Brass. These signatures by all parties set the stage for the first phase. Experts also see it as the beginning of the decade of gas in the energy transition initiative.
The two methanol plants will enable us to get the methanol need in country, save us foreign exchange, then we are significantly enhancing local production.
And with the Brass hub that will follow very soon, we should be able to process 670 million scoff of gas, independent of the gas that has been ring-fenced on this project. And we assure you that our financial close that is slated for last quarter of this year surely come to pass.
CDMB will work with our partners, NMPC and DSV, to maintain a very strict corporate governance process that will endear transparency and accountability in the project execution.
The project is expected to generate 15,000 direct jobs during construction and 5,000 when completed. Benny Adams, NTA News.
Let's bring you more stories now with Ingino in our Lagos Network Center. Ingino.
Thank you, Joseph. The approach to drug war adopted in recent times by officers and men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has resulted in massive seizures and arrests of suspects. The Murtala Mohammed International Airport Command of the agency recently intercepted methamphetamine weighing 7.1 kilograms bound for Spain. Abolade Salami reports.
Drug barons, traffickers and abusers appear to be hell-bent on pursuing their illicit act on abuse of substances. The good news, however, is that while they adopt new approaches in trying to traffic hard drugs, such efforts are always foiled by officers and men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, resulting in seizures, arrest and destruction of illicit substances. Just like previous suspects, Chimeze Bright got his fingers burnt while trying to beat officers with his false declaration during outward clearance of passengers on Air Maroc, where he concealed methamphetamine in food spices and packed in a polo suitcase.
The investigation has commenced. We're going to charge the case to court and make sure we prosecute him. But leads that are coming out of this particular case, we'll see what we can do about it to make sure that anybody that is involved somehow is arrested, charged to court, prosecuted, and hopefully will be convicted.
The suspects who claimed ignorance of the content begged for forgiveness.
I have not much to say to that. I'm just pressed and confused. That is it. Well.
The agency, while insisting that nothing will be left to chance as regards its zero tolerance for drug abuse, also appealed to all stakeholders to join the agency in the fight. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Adequate preparedness and teamwork have been identified as measures for mitigating the effect of disasters and crises in domestic settings and organizations. Annie Daniels reports that this was emphasized by experts at a 3-day executive capacity building workshop for industry leaders and top management team in Lagos by the Emergency Crisis and Disaster Risk Management Institute.
Globally, conflicts, disasters, natural and man-made, occur sometimes due to human errors and activities. To contain such occurrences, strategies and equipment are deployed. Inadequate preparation to manage disasters, experts say, could spell doom for victims. Organizations can also be affected.
The essence of business planning or organizational resilience is to mitigate impact of disasters when they strike.
The risk assessment and BIA are information gathering tools that you use to be able to start your plan.
The crisis and disaster management experts took turns to speak extensively on chosen topics, including crisis management and business resilience. The executive director, admin and training, NTA, Steve Ebo, who represented NTA's Director General, Yakub Ibn Mohammed, disclosed that NTA has lived up to expectations with plans to surpass the high standard.
NTA has done tremendously well, not just to increase our viewership around the world, but to make sure that our operations are first class. We have been able to acquire a lot of equipment, expertise, know-how.
Participants were also educated on how to create risk opportunity plans and provide adequate platforms to achieve stability and onward growth of their organizations.
Help people to understand the proper way to make use of their gas equipment, cylinder and all of that. I think it will make a better change.
The level of your preparedness will determine how you manage the risk. How much do you prepare in your home, in your office?
Participants are drawn from states across the country. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
We now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
You're still watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson. Well, we told you earlier that President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in London at about 8:50 p.m. The president is expected to undergo a routine medical checkup while in London. The president is also expected back in the country in the second week of April. And now let's bring you business news, and I've got Benny Adams here to do just that. Benny, what's happening in the world of business? Anything that stands out for you?
A whole lot. Most interestingly is the fact that the international community is amazed at the level at which Nigeria's economy is recovering.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Very good. Well, welcome to business news. With every country's attention focused on economic recovery from the effects of the pandemic, Nigeria is set to have a rare opportunity to adjust and recover faster.
Gains derived from the oil sector to ensure that the productive sectors across Nigeria's economy can now yield benefits in ways that it has not done before. So, for example, the creation of goods that are sustainable, the creation of goods that are in demand externally. Once you can then harness that in Nigeria using the African Continental Free Trade Area as your platform for a greater level of exports across the world, I think, therefore, that your economy can thrive in ways that perhaps you had never even imagined.
Blackman, ambassador and permanent representative of Barbados to the World Trade Organization, accompanied the WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala during her last visit to Nigeria. And moving on to the capital markets, investors lose as NSE All Share Index depreciated by minus 0.57%. as market closed at 39,267.11 basis points at the close of transaction. UBN led trading with 78 million volume of shares valued at 417.1 million naira, followed by Cotville and Guarantee Bank, while livestock led the gainers, just as Regalins topped the losers at the end of today's session. That is business news. Joseph, is over to you for the continuation.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you.
All right, Minister of Mines and Steel Development Olamilekun Adegbite says the ministry is working hard towards auctioning its bitumen blocks in the third quarter of the year 2021. The minister said that this when Australian High Commissioner to Nigeria John Donnelly visited the ministry on a partnership in mining. Adegbite told his guest that the ministry is gathering data on some of the bitumen field and is aging close to completion, noting that there are ample opportunities for investors in the local development of bitumen sector, as well as working on raising the quality of barite produced in the country to internationally acceptable standard. On the state of Ajaokuta Steel Company, the minister says the coronavirus pandemic delayed rehabilitation work, and when fully functional, about 13 other minerals are required in the production of steel. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, says the National Assembly will not renege in its legislative interventions towards ensuring improved training for health workers in Nigeria. He was speaking at a public hearing on 3 medical institutions establishment bill. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
6 days after the Senate adjourned for Easter break, the various committee rooms have been activity-packed. At this conference room, the Senate Committee on Health convened a public hearing on 3 establishment bills.
Today, and especially on COVID-19, every nation unto itself. What that means is self-reliance.
The Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Kuta, and National University of Health and Medical Sciences, Suleja establishment bills, sponsored by Senator Sani Musa, received goodwill.
Again, about 70% of the workforce of the Federal Capital Territory are residing in Suleja and environs. I don't see why Suleja till today has not benefited a single tertiary, a single institution of the federal government.
So we hope, by special grace of God, that these 2 bills will give it a total accelerated approval. But it's not just going to serve the people of Niger State alone.
it's also going to serve the people of the federal capital.
The Federal University of Health and Medical Sciences Abuja Ogun State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Ibikunle Amosun, was also welcomed.
There's no federal government-owned University of Medicine in Ogun State. Let me reiterate that the committee will continue to enact laws, especially health laws, to meet the health demands of the citizenry.
In the last 2 days, the Senate Committee on Health has convened public hearing on 5 medical institutions establishment bills. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Administration of COVID-19 vaccine has continued across the country, with frontline workers, the elderly and leaders taking their first jobs as the country joins the world to fight the pandemic.
That's the ambience inside a hall designated for the vaccination of NTA staff against COVID-19. Being part of the frontline workers, staff of the Nigerian Television Authority took turns to take forced administration of the jab as fight against the pandemic through vaccines and non-pharmaceutical measures continue. Salwal Khalil Ibrahim is an active social media user and has read a lot of theories on the effectiveness of the vaccine. However, the feeds from the social media is not compelling enough to influence her from taking the jab.
If you go watch the media, social media space, of course you'll be scared about the vaccine. But I don't think there will be any side effect. I am confident, in this, and I'm sure nothing will happen. I've been looking forward to this.
It's real. I advise everyone to take the jab. The vaccine is safe.
If people try to avoid it or are skeptical about it because of what some religious or political leaders tell them, I don't know what to make of it, because it's better to, keep safe than take the risk.
The vaccine administrators allay fears as regards safety and efficacy of the vaccine.
When this vaccine came into Nigeria, NAFDAC took samples from all the batches and certified it fit before these vaccines were deployed to be used on Nigerians. So I can assure Nigerians that this vaccine is safe and effective for use.
Despite the vaccine, people are expected to adhere to all COVID-19 protocols, as the first shot only confers 65% to 70% immunity, while second shot confers about 95% immunity.
Ruth Agwale reporting there. In another development, as Nigeria continues to step up measures to contain the spread of COVID-19, some prominent individuals in Abia State who have taken the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine are attesting to its safety and calling on others to follow suit. We'll bring you details of that report in a subsequent newscast. Let's take a short break now. Stay with us. Remember, we told you earlier that the federal government will continue to cooperate with states to support micro, small and medium enterprises. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the 27th Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic hosted by the Gombe State government describes the MSME as the engine of the nation's economy that needs to be oiled. We have the details of that report now.
These are some of the rice and oil mills in Gombe State, visited by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo upon arrival for the 27th Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic. State Governor Inuwa Yahaya says 1,000 hectares of land is being provided for the establishment of an industrial park to serve as trade and investment hub and to complement what is being done in the promotion of MSMEs at the federal level. A move which Vice President Yemi Osinbajo applauded, stressing that this would also help generate employment.
Thus far, in the payroll support for Gombe State, we have ensured that at about 9,085 employees from close to 2,000 MSMEs in the educational sector have benefited from the scheme. Another 10,000 artisans and transporters in this state have also benefited from the scheme. Up to 6,000 new business names have been registered free of charge with the CAC from businesses that are in this state. In all, MSMEs in Gombe State have been supported by the federal government with almost 1.2 billion naira under the Economic Sustainability Plan. And there is more to come.
With testimonies that the survival fund that the federal government is disbursing to assist small businesses, Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagun, says government is committed to lifting the people out of poverty.
These MSMEs clinics provide a single point of access that can improve long-term potential for inclusive growth for businesses to achieve success, with special focus on youth and women as economic actors of change.
More importantly, it will help our small and medium-scale businesses in areas of improving access to finance, business registration, access to market, skills acquisition, and compliance with regulatory requirements.
It's a glorious outing here in Gombe, and for the people who proud themselves as the jewel in the savannah. Having the vice president here in the state really is a great booster to their effort. And here in Gombe State is Jure Onifade for NTA News. Let's now join Olumide Egunchala for Sports Update.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria Tuesday evening recorded an 100% winning record after a 3-0 victory over their counterparts from Lesotho. The Nigerian side ended the AFCON qualifiers with 14 points to top its group.
So it shows that the Eagles still will find Lagos a hunting ground.
Nigeria are to the Nations Cup. Let's see what General is going to do to this team ahead of the tournament.
It's not just enough for him to win again. We are waiting for him to win the World Cup for Nigeria.
In another news, the novelty match between Kogi State Executive Council and ex-Super Eagles star ended 1-goal apiece at the Conference Stadium, Lokoja. Governor Yahaya Bello stressed that the commitment, dedication and selflessness of the ex-internationals is what Nigeria needs to overcome its challenges.
We are determined to build, raise leaders as well.
Elsewhere, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dari has commended the para-powerlifters for their dominance at the just concluded World Cup in Manchester. The team finished top of the medals table with 10 gold and 3 silver medals to win the championship.
This signposts what will happen eventually when we get to Tokyo Olympics.
Instead of breaking the record, we will break the wall.
In another development, Sheon Ogunshakin was the signation of all eyes as he stole the show of the final of the 2021 National Tennis Championship. He clinched the boys' 14 and 16 titles on the same day with 9 love and 9-2 victories over Joshua Maxwell and Mubarak Ganiyu. Destiny Okinaye defeated Blessing Otu in the final of the girls' 16 title 9-7.
In 10 years or so, we'll start having teenage champions in the country.
But at the end of the day, they will build capacity, they will build capabilities.
And on a sad note, Nigeria has continued to mourn the demise of our former NFF Technical Director, Kashima Wulaluko, describing his death as a monumental loss to the country.
He has also been arguably been called the father of academies.
And his passion for youth development and for football is amazing.
His remains have since been buried at his Monogon residence in Abeokuta, Ogun State. With sports update, Olumide Egunchala, NTA News.
Big congratulations to the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the win against the Crocodiles of Lesotho in grand style with an emphatic 3-0. Way to go, champs. And that's NTA Network News for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Joseph Johnson. Remember to always connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists.